Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we get closer and closer to the redemption of the children of Israel, we're going to see some very strange things present themselves here on earth, as we know that there is a war in heaven that must be fought. And when you look at some of the things that are happening, you have to wonder, is this increased demonic presence upon earth starting to begin, or is increasing? When you just watch the news and see the things that people are doing, just in a few things happen in the news. 19-year-old Florida State student not only killed somebody, but then proceeded to start biting parts of their face off. I mean, you have to wonder, where, these things are coming from. People are in a seriously strange state. It used to be a point where somebody attempted to rob somebody, as long as you, didn't, as long as you, gave them whatever they asked for, you didn't get hurt. But now it's a problem where people are faced with making a decision. Even if they give up what the person is asking for, they may still, get shot. There was a Alabama teenager who ended up murdering his neighbor and then set the man on fire. I mean, these things are not just regular situations. Even here in Atlanta, a guy wanted to carjack a 77-year-old man and shot him 5 or 6 times. A 77-year-old man got shot that many times because of a carjacking. And just right down the street, right here on Memorial Drive, little boy got jumped by another group of boys, and they beat him so bad that he was almost blinded. The increased demonic activity is just, it's no regard for, human life, and it's getting worse and worse. And a lot of those instances, when you look, it's us that's doing it. And it's a reason why that is. But brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence?
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us, an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. But be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. It is clear that times have changed as we witness the total disregard for human life here upon earth. Yahweh has stated before that it repented him that he has made man, because the thoughts of his heart were wicked continually. The adversary, the devil, uses Yahweh's disappointment concerning man's activities as a catalyst to put man down as often as possible. The adversary attempted to destroy man as soon as he was created, and is still at it today. The war against flesh is beginning to increase as more and more demonic deeds are created by man. Unprotected souls are used by the adversary and his angels to create a mounting case against all flesh. Although the adversary does hate all flesh, he particularly hates Israel, as Israel is the only nation represented in heaven. As this war against the flesh increases to its pinnacle, more and more demonic deeds shall be committed by man, but more importantly, by Israel in particular. Let's begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to read verses 23 through 46. Matthew chapter 21 and verses 23 through 46. And today's sermon is entitled, Increased Demonic Presence Upon the Earth. Increased demonic presence upon the earth. Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to begin at verse 23.
Verse 23. And when he was come into the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, By what authority does you these things? And who gave you this authority? And Yahshua answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing, which if you tell me, I in likewise will tell you by the authority I do these things. The baptism of Yohanan, whence was it? From heaven or of men? And they reasoned within themselves, saying, If we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, Why did you not then believe him? But if we will say of men, we fear the people, for all hold Yohanan as a prophet. And they answered Yahshua and said, We cannot tell. And he said unto them, Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things.
Right. Now, first of all, you have to really understand how deep the question was. So what Yahshua did, instead of answering the question, see, a lot of people, this is what causes a lot of people to lie, because a lot of people are always trying to save face. So they want to present themselves in a better fashion than the situation that they're in really is. So they try to pretend. They actually pin Yahshua up against a wall. By what authority do you do these things? He wasn't finna lie. Now, if you keep reading, he actually explains his authority. He just didn't tell them that's what he was doing. So they asked, what authority do you do these things? Instead of him saying, I ain't gonna tell you right away, I tell you what, tell me this. And in that, he proved that they were dealing with it in hypocrisy. But keep reading.
Verse 28. But what think you? A certain man had two sons.
What think you? He immediately starts going into this parable after he tells them that he's not going to tell them. Then he says, a certain man had two sons. He's explaining a situation that they don't know really what he's dealing with. Go ahead.
And he came to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard. And he answered and said, I will not. But afterward he repented and went. And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not. Whether of them two did the will of his father? They say unto him, the first. Yahshua saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of Elohim before you. For Yohanan came unto you in the way of righteousness, and you believed him not. But the publicans and the harlots believed him, and you, when you had seen it, repented not afterward, that you might believe him. Hear another parable. There was a certain householder, which planted a vineyard, and hedged it round about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen, that they might receive the fruits of it. And the husbandmen took his servants, and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. But last of all he sent unto them his son, saying, They will reverence my son.
But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son. That was the answer to their question. He just didn't tell them that was the answer to their question. Go ahead.
But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance.
Which is what they're going to do with him. Even in mocking and putting the crown of thorns on his head, all of those things they were doing, saying with the mocking, there was a reason for all of those things, but they didn't really understand it to the extent of what it was being done. Even with the children of Israel being the one to say, yeah, we offer him up. Go ahead.
And they caught him, and cast him out of the vineyard, and slew him. Verse 40. When the master therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen? They say unto him, He will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their seasons.
Right, because he's talking about the vineyard, you know, they don't see this as Yahweh's work, Yahweh's place, including the earth. He's dealing with carnal men with a carnal saying, and this is all that they can hear. So they understand this natural part of it, but they don't understand the spiritual connection that's being made. Go ahead.
Not only that, they're proclaiming their own judgment and don't realize it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Verse 42. Yahshua saith unto them, Did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner? This is the Adonai's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore say I unto you, the kingdom of Elohim shall be taken from you, and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude, because they took him for a prophet.
Right. So they didn't do refuse to lay hands on him because it was the wrong thing to do. They refused to lay hands on him because they needed to project a certain look among the people. Let's go to Galatians chapter 4. Galatians chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 22 through 31.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 22. For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman.
Immediately when this question was asked, he started going into a man had two sons. So even the things that were presented here on earth is a description of what was already set up in heaven. So it wasn't any coincidence that we're dealing with these two sons, these two covenants. What we have to understand is Lucifer, the angels were originally the original sons of Elohim. Then man has the opportunity to become the sons of Elohim. But the first sons of Elohim were the angels. So you understand why there's a little bit of hatred coming from the angels, being that they were the first sons. And then here comes this idea to make more sons. Go ahead.
Verse 23. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he of the free woman was by promise. Which things are an allegory? For these are the two covenants, the one from the Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Agar. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem which is above is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, Rejoice, you barren that beareth not. Break forth and cry, you that travaileth not. For the desolate has many more children than she which has an husband. Now we, brethren, as Esau was, are the children of promise.
So there's automatically going to be a schism between the children of the flesh and the children of the spirit. It's going to automatically be there. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 26.
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. And Elohim said, Let us make man in our image.
Let us make man in our image. Go ahead.
After our likenesses, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of El created he him. Male and female created he them.
Male and female created he them. They were created in the image of Elohim. So we see what is happening here. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Chapter 4, and let's read verses 1 through 11.
Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
Now, you have to understand, of course, before this first child is born, there were some evil deeds, of course, that was done, disobeying the word of Yahweh, listening to the serpent who was being used to convince them to do otherwise. So this is the child that comes after that deed. You will find a lot of people that want to make the seed of the devil a physical being of people. Like there were, I've watched several teachings where they talk about the Kenites or the children of the devil. Look, you got the flood that turned around and took a whole lot of things away, yet you see the Messiah calling the Pharisees, you are of your father the devil. They were Hebrew Israelites. They were of the 12 tribes. So to be of the devil is not a physical thing. It is a spiritual thing. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell.
All right. So now there's a little bit of jealousy toward his brother, because that his offering was not accepted. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, Why are you angry? And why is your countenance falling?
Right. Your countenance falling. This is your the way you act. What you can see on people as soon as they you ask people, what's wrong with you? Ain't nothing wrong with me. Yeah. The way you answered, ain't nothing wrong with you, proves that something is wrong with you. Go ahead.
If you does well, shall you not be accepted? And if you does not well, sin lieth at the door.
Sin lies at the door. The fallen countenance, the anger is right at the door. It's going to lead you to sin. And you can tell people over and over, and they still walk right through the door. Go ahead.
And a lot of times it's that demeanor that you walk through the door with. You see it on their face.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you see people, you want to tell them, turn around and go back home. I'm here to keep the Sabbath. No, you're not. Turn around and go back home. My elder used to say, check your demon at the door. Get demon checked. Take your little demon off, your little fun. Sit him right there at the door. Make sure you chain him up now. Because I don't want to run around in here. Check your demon right there at the door. Make sure you get him on your way out. Because you can tell by the countenance on people's face. What'd you come in here with that for? Go ahead.
And unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him.
He rose up against his brother and slew him. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, Where is Abel your brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
You see what a broken down countenance, just because of jealousy, will do? Not only now is the brother slave, but now he gonna talk to Yahweh in the old kind of way. Go ahead.
And he said, What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
See, the question was rhetorical, and people don't get that. That Yahweh not asking for his sake. He's giving you an opportunity to actually confess your deeds. He did not know. When he asked, it's a rhetorical question. You're not going to give Yahweh any information that he doesn't know. You see, he asked, and then he automatically went past the little fake answer. Go ahead.
And now art you cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand.
And the last thing you want to do is let one movement of anger and jealousy mark your entire life after that. This is the problem with letting how we feel right now direct everything that we do. But what this shows here is how open we become to demonic possession once we get angry or the countenance is falling. The devil is at the door. He's standing there waiting. He said, oh, I'm going to get in there. I can see them now. I can see that door being left open. He loved those kind of situations because he going to go in and he going to wreak havoc. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 7. So once again, we see the setup of this good versus evil. And this was not a situation where it was good versus evil and one child came from one mama and the other came from, no, they got the same mom and daddy. This ain't about some other thing. This is about good and evil, about you leaving that door open, because you got to ask yourself, I mean, with all the demonic things that are going to take place, you have to ask yourself, how do the evil angels choose which bodies they're going to go in? some bodies must be a little bit more accepting of a demonic spirit than others. Remember, it says when an unclean spirit goes out of a man and he goes out and he wanders and then he comes back and find that house clean, swept, and garnished, and then he brings 7 more other spirits more wicked than himself and enter into that man. Why did he feel comfortable there? Not only did the one demon feel comfortable there, 7 other demons felt comfortable there. You have to ask yourself, what is it about any demeanor of you that makes a demon want to live in you? Hebrews chapter 7, let's read verses 1 through 17.
For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High Elohim, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace.
Now, of course, you're gonna hear, this brought out in Sunday church for their tithing, because this, of course, is a tithe before any institution of the law was given. But understand that everything that was given us is already a representation of the things that are in heaven. This is why we can't change things just because we get to something and we don't like it. All of this stuff is already set up in heaven. So you don't get to change these things when you get to something that you don't like. So when it talks about giving this 10th to him, the tithe was already set up before the law because it was already instituted in heaven. Go ahead.
Verse 3, without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of Elohim, abideth a priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the 10th of the spoils. And verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth them of whom it is witness that he liveth. And as I may so say, Levi also, who receiveth tithes, paid tithes in Abraham. For he was yet in the loins of his father, when Melchizedek met him. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek, and not be called after the order of Aaron?
Right, after the order of Aaron would just be another priest coming out of the tribe of Yehuda, which is where Yahshua came out of. Then you have out of the tribe of the kings, and then dealing with a priest. So then you deal with a king and a priest, which is exactly what Melchizedek was. Go ahead.
Verse 12, Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 12. For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. For it is evident that our Adonai sprang out of Yehuda, of which tribe Moshe spake nothing concerning priesthood.
Right. So verse 12 says, for the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. People will tell you that the priesthood was done away with. That says change. That does not say done away with. Go ahead.
And it is yet far more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek there ariseth another priest, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. For he testified, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
You are a priest forever after this order of Melchizedek. So we see that there's some mirror image things that are going on in heaven. Then there's some things that are going on in earth. So there's certain things that have to happen here based upon what has already happened in heaven. Let's go to Matthew chapter 3. Matthew chapter 3, and start at verse 16 through chapter 4 and verse 11. Matthew chapter 3 and verse 16 through chapter 4 and verse 11.
Verse 16. And Yahshua, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of Elohim descending like a dove and lighting upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased.
This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. So this is son number one. It says there were two sons. He went to one and said, go work in the vineyard. And he said, I will, but went not. The other son said, I don't want to go, but he repented and went. Go ahead.
Chapter 4 and verse 1. Then was Yahshua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If you be the Son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread.
Son number two. Now, his job was to make sure that things were supposed to go a certain way. But what he did was try to sabotage it from the beginning. To act like he was part of the team, but he was sabotaging this thing from the beginning because he really don't like man. He really don't like flesh. And he especially does not like Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 4. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Elohim.
So they're having not a war of words, but a war of the word. Because one is taking the word out of context, the other one is putting the word back into context. All of this is in the word. None of us knows the word like the adversary of the devil. Understand, he understands what's here and what it actually pertains to in heaven. His level of understanding of the scripture is infinite. So if we're not careful, he can tear us up inside this very book while we study. Because you don't know it like he know it. That's why if your heart ain't right, it don't matter how much you read, you're going to get towed up. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, If you be the Son of Elohim, cast yourself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against a stone.
Right. Understanding that this is a spirit that, understand, the entire time Yahshua was on the earth, before that baptism, there was no direct encounter with the adversary against him. It was only after the baptism. Now he wants to attack that entity. Why do you think you start having issues after baptism? That old you, he already had you. He wasn't worried about that. You was on his team. You just didn't know it. But now that you have made a covenant that you want to walk in a certain way, now he said, okay, the game is now beginning. Go ahead.
You know, the funny thing is he tear most of us up because we let every little thing bother us. Every simple obstacle that comes our way becomes an issue, and then it just compounds with issue after issue after issue till you just wavering back and forth, not knowing where you're going. That's when you're leaving yourself just about open for him to jump in.
You know what we do? We protect the front door and put a big old steel door up there for everybody to see. That's that outer appearance. I'm so strong. Then we got a straw door in the back. And he just walked through. That's where your feelings at, right there. See, that's hidden from everybody. Right, he just walked through that door. And he all in your house, all in the living room, got his foot all up on your table. Right, you let him in there. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Yahshua said unto him, It is written again, You shall not tempt the Adonai your Elohim. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, All these things will I give you, if you will fall down and worship me.
So you have to first of all understand the authority in which he was given. How does he have the ability to give anybody all these riches? That was given unto him. He had a job that he was supposed to do. See, there were two sons. One was supposed to work in the vineyard. He went, but he didn't do the job that he was supposed to do. From the beginning, he went to sabotage the flesh of man. He didn't like it. And you see the same little jealousy on kids. Have a child, and then have another one. And they're like, who little thing is this right here? Who little baby this is? When he going back home to his mama? No, I am that baby mama. Well, I don't like this. I don't like that. You need to take this little baby back home. You can see it right away. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Then saith Yahshua unto him, Get you hence, Satan, for it is written, You shall worship the Adonai your Elohim, and him alone only shall you serve.
Right. So they are going back and forth with this word, and you understand how sharp the adversary is. So people marvel that, some other people can mention all of these things out of the word. The adversary can open up whatever he wants to open up to his people and give them riches, and all they got to do is worship. They don't have to obey, just worship. He don't want them to follow no rules anyway. Go ahead.
Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him.
Now, the reason we can't get to verse 11 because we don't resist the attacks of the devil. So we can't get to verse 11, the part where the devil leaves. See, the devil will leave you for a season. If you resist the devil, he'll flee. But if you, this is common sense. If you got bugs, you spray for the bugs leave. But if you got bugs, and then you leave ice cream out and just sit it on the counter, and bugs like, I'm coming back, Jack. They keep feeding me, Jack. They go and get some of their little buggy friends. Hey, man, you can come over here and eat some snacks. They leave them out every night. They want us to come back. If they didn't want us to come back, why would they put those sugary goodness right there on the counter? So the bug said they must want us to stay here. Surely they got sense enough to know not to leave this sugary goodness all over the table. Right. If you don't resist him, he automatically says, they want me to be here. Look how comfortable they're making it for me. Go ahead. That was it right there. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land.
This is what everything waits for. The earth waits for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. The earth cannot be in perfect peace with Israel outside of Israel. Go ahead.
And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
And we know that ain't happening in Israel. Go over in Israel as a stranger and see what they do to you. Go ahead.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
The people who call themselves the Jews now are Gentiles and cannot produce any captivity that they've been in. So they can't produce anybody that they're supposed to rule over because they can't find anybody who they were slaves to. Find your slave master. They can't find one. Go ahead.
And if they're in the land, back in the land, they're Israel, then they should be ruling over the Germans, right?
Yep. That's who they claim. That's who they claim that their power to get the land from. But even that is a problem, because if you suffered in Germany, you should be given land in Germany. That's just like saying, I mean, something happened bad, to Brother Eliel at my house. And I think that brother should be paid. So I'm going to take cash stuff. And then I'm going to give it to Eliel. Because, it was just horrible what that brother suffered at my house. So I'm going to take something out of your, give me that stuff here. I'm just going to take stuff from your family and give it to his family because something happened bad at my house. Now, how does that make any sense at all? Right. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 3. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give you rest from your sorrow, and from your fear, and from the hard bondage wherein you was made to serve, that you shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, How has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in anger with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest, and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since you are laid down, no feller has come up against us.
Right. So when the righteous rules, then it's peace everywhere. But when the wicked rule, there is always a problem. There can't be any peace when the wicked rules. Go ahead.
Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirreth up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto you, Are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us? Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your vials, the worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you. How art you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art you cut down to the ground, which didst weaken nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
Right. So he has aspirations of being just like Yahweh. So he doesn't. This is why one of the sons didn't want to go to earth and do that job in the vineyard, because he wanted to be somewhere else. No, man. I was a covering cherub. No. See, some people sit close to the seat because they want to sit in the seat. So he's close to the seat. He don't want to go do no. What I want to deal with this filthy flesh for? No, I'm fine. I won't be. No, I'm cool with this job right here. No, I got another job I want you to do. I don't want to do that job. So then you got that little faking where we'll go and do the job but not do the job. Well, we do it in a way to make it fail. You tell a kid to take out the trash, they act like they can't do it. They spilling trash all over the floor, everything. Yeah, they doing that on purpose. So you just say, move out the way. I'll get it. No, if it take you all day, I'm gonna sit there and watch you now pick that one up. Okay, now you got that one. Now, because you done did that, now you got to shampoo the carpet. You go get the shampoo there. I'm gonna sit there all day. You gonna find out. You gonna play a game with somebody else. Go on and get now first, no, you got to soak that stain first. Now spray it. Okay, now get a little wet rag, step on it. There you go. Now I'll sit there and do it all day. You play that game with somebody else. Go ahead.
Verse 14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'll be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
I'm going to be just like the Most High. So I want to be amongst this flesh. So he went, but he didn't do the job because he didn't want to do the job. Go ahead.
They that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
Right. So the punishment then, and why it takes all of this time, is Lucifer must be turned into flesh, into the very flesh that he hates. Go ahead.
That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners.
The house of his prisoners. See, he's the real prince of this earth. So you have, this is why he could say, I can give you all of these things. I can give you money. I can give you power. I can give you influence. And many people have taken that bait. So when you deal with these things, you consider what the punishment is for a lie. It is whatever you intended for somebody else when you told a lie. So when you get to this thing where he has this job, but he goes about to destroy flesh. His punishment starts with being made into the flesh that he hates. And there are people that are in situations and they don't see that they are in that situation because of the lie and the way that they operated. Your judgment became the very thing that you were trying to attempt for somebody else. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3. But what we don't see in that is the mercy of Yahweh. The great mercy of Yahweh allowing us to be punished while we are strong and able is one thing. Some people's judgments start as they are getting older in age and their strength leaves them, and then here come judgment from all of the things that they had done 30, 40 years ago. Some of us don't understand the blessing to receive that judgment so that we don't continue to mount sins on top of sins. Genesis chapter 3, and let's read verses 1 through 8.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made.
Right. Now, the serpent itself is not the adversary of the devil. There is something about the serpent. He is subtle. He's slick. The way he talks is smooth. So there's something about him that has a very, very usable quality. Go ahead.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, has Elohim said, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim have said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die.
So, even when we read that Lucifer is the maker of a lie, so that when you tell a lie, you're telling of his creation. Now, here you got this serpent saying, You shall not surely die. Go ahead.
For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Now that part was really true, because there was going to be a whole lot of understanding that happens there, but there's a whole lot of weight that comes with understanding too. Go ahead.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And when the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons.
Now they understand that they're naked. Go ahead.
And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden.
Right. So automatically this act separated them from Yahweh, and the adversary used this serpent to do all of these things. When you start going through the punishment, he starts going down each entity that was involved, and each one of them got a punishment for allowing themselves to be used by that demonic spirit. The serpent got his punishment, man got his punishment, and the woman got her punishment. Everybody got a level of punishment depending on their participation in it. But what you see from the beginning is he who was in the garden to do one job was actually doing another job, trying to destroy man from the beginning. See, this automatically set a wedge between Yahweh and man right off the rip. Now a whole nother plan has to be made. Now we got all of this here because of what happened right here. The adversary know all of that. So things were done a certain way for a reason. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13. Matthew chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 36 through 43.
Matthew chapter 13 and verse 36. Then Yahshua sent the multitude away and went into the house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world.
The field is the world. He said, he had two sons. He sent one to go and work in the vineyard. Go ahead.
The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one.
The tares are the children of the wicked one. So Lucifer has children. Yahweh has children. Some are the sons of Elohim. Others are the sons of the adversary, the devil. You get to pick your parents in this battle. You can pick which one of them you want. Go ahead.
The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burnt in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity.
All things that offend and them which do iniquity shall be gathered out of his kingdom. So all of those that do as they think, feel, and believe, they're going to be removed. Go ahead.
And shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear.
Those that have ears to hear, let them hear. So we see that the adversary, the devil, has children. And when you read those things about the tares, and it asks, didn't you plant good seed in your garden? Well, why does it have tares? It says the enemy has done this. An enemy, the adversary, the devil, has come and planted these tares inside of this vineyard. So when you deal with that, you have some people that came to church. They were actually sent by Yahshua. Others were sent by the adversary, the devil. The adversary, the devil, you know what? I want to show you something. Right. Because you'll find that when it comes down to doing the things that's necessary, understand the adversary, the devil went. He just didn't do what he was supposed to do. See, some people think it's fine just to show up. So I showed up on the Sabbath. But you shall know the tree by its fruit. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, in that situation of the garden, he was the very first tare. Because he went there with an agenda to destroy it. That's what the tares come in to do. He looked at his position, complacency. He was a covering cherub.
Mm-hmm.
He stood and watched over the mercy seat. He was then sent to do this other job. I don't want to do this. I want to go back and keep looking at that seat. Let me mess this up real quick so I can go back to doing what I was doing.
Some people don't work at all. They don't do nothing. They don't donate nothing. They don't give nothing. They just consume. Job chapter 1. Yahweh have a tendency to get rid of things that don't profit him. You say he went by that tree when it didn't have any fruit. At this point, it ain't good for nothing but to be thrown in the fire so you can get warm in. So what good is this tree? Why it taking up space? It is of no purpose if I can't get no fruit off the tree. Man, cut this tree down. Get this tree out of here. This tree ain't providing no fruit whatsoever. So I used to hear my elder say stuff like that. I ain't never seen no place where he was trying to run people off. And he was like, there's too many people in here. I was like, what in the world? I ain't never seen that. Like, this ain't no social club. I was like, what? Why is he trying to get rid of people? You sit around long enough, you start to see the cliques. These people won't sit with those people. These people hang out with those people. Then you got the after class, you know. Folk who didn't pay attention the whole Sabbath class, but then they're going to go out in the parking lot. Now, you see, when he read thee, he should have said the. Man. Right. Job chapter 1, start that at verse 1.
There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Elohim and eschewed evil.
So, this is an awesome test for the adversary. Oh, you think he perfect, huh? Oh, you think he perfect. Right. Okay, jump to verse 6.
Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them.
Right. So in this instance of the sons of Elohim, we understand that it's talking about the angels. The angels are making their appearance at the same as we are given 3 times to make an appearance throughout the year. All males must make that appearance. We read this in Job chapter 1 and 2. Both of them are directly upon making appearances. So we see these are back-to-back chapters, and it's back-to-back appearances that are being made. So these things in heaven go directly in line with the things that were given for us to be done on earth. Understand, when it talks about the tabernacle, they didn't just grab those measurements out of thin air. Make it such and such. Make it this way. Make this 40 cubits. Make this 10 cubits. Where do you think you got those measurements from? There's already one. So when you go in front of every Sunday church and it's got 3 pyramids and a phallic symbol on it, you have to ask yourself, how y'all get the same design but the design not in this book? Where did that design come from? Never heard the devil. Because that design ain't in this book. Yet every last one of them got 3 pyramids, 3 triangles on the front, and a steeple. Where that design come from? Because we got a design here. There are direct instructions on how the temple's supposed to be set up. It ain't got jack to do with every Sunday church that we've seen. And we see the little stained glass windows. We see all of these things, and we see the same thing from church to church to church. How all of them have the same design? Where did they get that design from? The demon worshiping Masons? Go ahead, bro.
Job chapter 1 and verse 7. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Whence cometh you? Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Now, where you come from? Man, you know, I'm going back and forth. Okay, go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Satan, Have you considered my servant Job?
You notice he didn't have to ask him what he was doing? He just said where you came from. He ain't asked him what you been doing. He said where you came from. Back and forth, you know, to and fro from the earth. Have you considered my servant? Damn it, how you jump to that? Because I already know what you're doing. You hate flesh. And you forever trying to prove it to be a bad creation. So since I already know what you're going to do, see, there's certain things that you can be sure that it's going to do what it normally does. Once you know the spirit of something, you pretty much know what it's going to do. You got a pit bull? You don't have to wonder if somebody come in the yard, it might bite them. No of a surety that it's going to bite them. That's what a pit bull does. It bites things. Objects, people, small people, big people. It don't matter what kind of people. That's what it does. You know the nature of this animal. You don't have to ask. See? And when people show you who they are, why you get so bent out of shape? You know the manner of that person. You already know. When I say this, they're going to say that. When I do this, they're going to do that. Go ahead.
That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth Elohim and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, does Job fear Elohim for naught?
Right. Constant trying to make man look bad before Yahweh. Now this is about to take a whole nother level, but before we even get to that, you have to understand his hatred against the flesh, but in particular, he hates the ones who are representatives of Yahweh here on earth. And that's you. So you have an adversary who knows more about this book than you will ever know. Ever. If you study every day and every night, you will never know what your chief adversary knows. So that means the key to your survival is not just in reading and studying this book. It has to be something that you got to do in here. Go ahead.
Have not you made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land.
So that lets you know Lucifer had not attacked him, but that don't mean Lucifer didn't know who he was. Mm-hmm. He knew exactly who he was. He could talk about all the stuff that he had. He know everything, but I can't touch him. You got that little hedge round about him. But I seen all this little stuff, all this little cattle and all that old stuff he got over there. He got a little house, you know, ain't nothing happening to his little house, you know, because you got that little hedge round about it. See, we think Yahweh don't see us and the devil don't see you. Both of them see you. Go ahead.
Well, put forth your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face.
He will curse you to your face. So this is an objective that he has. Not just with, when we read the book of Job, we think that this is just about Job. Understand, he hates flesh, period. And you just happen to be covered in flesh. So you need to understand what's really happening here. Let's go to Mark chapter 1.
You know, bro, what he just said, touch all that he has and he'll curse you to your face. So what entered into the wife that she said, curse Elohim and die? Mm-hmm. In the same words of you, Lucifer, right?
Right. And here's the thing. Her life was protected because she was one with him. So her life wasn't going to be taken. But it wasn't convenient to her. That's all it takes for some people to curse Elohim. A little bit of inconvenience. This is inconvenient. Curse Elohim and die. That's all it takes for you to curse. It's some inconvenience. That's it. Mark chapter 1. And let's read verses 23 through 26.
Verse 23. And there was in their synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, saying,
Where you at?
Where we at? Mark chapter 1, verse 23, right?
Okay.
You mean to go somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't think that's the right one. Go ahead, read that.
And there was in their synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, saying, Let us alone. What have we to do with you, you Yahshua of Nazareth? Are you come to destroy us? I know you who you are, the Holy One of Israel, of Elohim, pardon me. And Yahshua rebuked him, saying, Hold your peace and come out of him.
So the demonic spirit understood exactly who he was. There wasn't a one drop of confusion as to what's happening here. So when you see that the adversary, the devil, came unto him, immediately he knew who he was. Go ahead.
You know, and they said it was there in the synagogue a man. So once again, like you opened up and stated, he's looking to get into us. This is somebody who's of Israel. Because if you wasn't of Israel, you wouldn't have been in the synagogue.
Right. So we have to consider, a lot of times we keep looking at these things. We have to understand that most of these demonic deeds and this demonic possession is happening amongst Israel. When you see these people on television and they've done like these god-awful deeds, do you ever look into their eyes and just see that little dazed look like, what the hell was wrong with them? What's wrong with them? Why they got that look? They not even in this realm. They somewhere else. Right. You leave that door open and that adversary get up in there and he'll use you to do all kind of stuff. So then you got this spirit saying automatically, I know you. I know who you are. That's not the man saying that. That's the spirit inside the man. That's why oftentimes you get into it with people and people say, I ain't say that. No, you didn't. But somebody else did, because it came out your mouth. Now, you might not have remembered yourself saying it. That's because you yourself was not in charge of your mouth. Whatever that was that you invited in, you don't know you invited him, though. See, your anger and fallen countenance left your door open. And all the devil need to do. The devil is like somebody just walking down the street and just looking at every door closed, and then one of them open. Hey, why don't we go in there? That door, why them people right there didn't close their door? Let's go in there and see what they got. You leave your door open, he gonna be all in your living room. I can guarantee you that. You better figure out how to keep your door closed. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish?
Verse 26. And when the unclean spirit had torn him and cried with a loud voice, he came out of him.
Right. So you have to consider, when we read about angels who have a job, who are supposed to be here, they appear as men. Okay? That means they have a body prepared them. Was not a body prepared for the spirit of Israel to enter into this body of Yahshua? Then you have the demons, the evil angels who are here. They have to find someone to possess because they were not given a body, because they're not here for good causes. So if you leave your door open, they come into you, use you to do evil. And then once they're done, they leave you to deal with it. You end up seeing these cases where folks do all manner of evil and they say, why you do that? I don't know. The guy that shot the man sitting on the ground, what the cop said, I don't know why I shot him. The man was laying down on the ground. Why you shot him? I don't know. Right. Now understand, Lucifer hates all flesh, but he hates Israel in particular. So it's us that keep getting shot. So the demon don't need to stay with them people. All you need to do is jump in, boom, hurt Israel. Because once we start rioting or doing something else, that still puts us in danger of even having more guns. Then they call in the National Guard, and then a whole bunch of guns are aimed at us. This is absolutely perfect for Lucifer's scenario, to try to kill off as many and as much of Israel as possible. So while we are looking at this fleshly thing that's going on, it's demons that's moving in and about, out of people, including and especially Israel. We tend to think because we come and keep the Sabbath that the adversary of the devil won't enter into you. You got another thing coming. He looking for you first. You the first one he look. He know you. Even what they say when the 7 sons of Sceva decided that they were going to do a so-called exorcism and call the demon out. What them demons say? Hey man, we know Yahshua and we know Saul, but bro, who you? In other words, where's your authority? You ain't got no you calling out spirits, bro. You ain't got no authority. Where your authority at? You baptized in Yahshua? You preach Yahshua? No, you don't. Get up out them clothes and run on out here naked. You gonna learn today. You gonna learn today. Right. Let him know. You don't have no power. Don't go to calling nobody out like you got some authority. I mean, if somebody just showed up at your job, hey, I'm gonna need you to get up out that seat, take that computer, and go sit over there. Your first question gonna be, excuse me, who are you? Because I ain't never seen you before. Who you? Automatically, you're going to question that authority. So understand, them demons know you. They know you. And they know your habits and your movement. And the more you keep that door open, the more you're going to be entertaining one. Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. I keep telling people, the adversary of the devil don't care how he get in your house. He don't care nothing about it. However he get in, that's how he get in. See, working in security, I done found that, thieves are coming in the easiest point. Now, they just leave out the biggest point, the point that your TV can fit out of. But they'll come in through a small window. They'll open the other one on their way out. Because, they got to fit the TV out of somewhere, and that TV ain't going to fit out of the little window. But they'll go out that back door. They'll open whatever they got to do to get out. But they'll take any small opening that they can take to get in. And it ain't got to be much. That's why the word says, be angry, but sin not. It says, once the countenance of Cain was fallen, it says sin lies at the door. You on your way. And it's hard to explain that to people. You can read it over and over and tell them, look, I see you. You on your way. No, I ain't. I'm telling you, I see you. You on your way. All right. And you step back and let them run into that brick wall. Then they all scuffed up. Right. I told you he was on your way. But sometimes you have to let people hit a wall so that they learn how to listen. Revelation chapter 12, and let's read verses 1 through 13.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered.
All right. This woman with this crown of 12 stars, the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Now you have, this is Israel being represented in heaven. So understand the hatred that the adversary, the devil, got for you. Not only you got this thing going on earth, and he's supposed to have to deal with this little fleshly thing that he don't want to have to deal with. Then there's a representation of you in heaven. Go ahead.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Let's back up to chapter 2. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth. This child that was brought forth to hold the spirit of Israel. Now you see these nations that are going to come upon the earth, understanding that Lucifer is the prince of this earth, and those kingdoms are intent on ruling with rigor over the children. Go ahead.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Right. So then you have the angel taking away a third part of the stars of heaven. This is a third part of the angels. So not only is the adversary going about doing his thing, then you have other people who have other angels who have entered into this fight with him. Go ahead.
And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
Right. So the woman flees into the wilderness. The only reason you flee is because of persecution. You don't flee for no reason at all. So understand what the third part of these angels are here to do. Their entire move is to destroy the children of Israel. And they'll use Israel to do it. You got all of these unprotected souls that are available for the increased demonic presence that will then find itself on the earth. All of these souls that they can use, enter into, coerce them to do such and such, and then leave them be. Now, men will then be fighting. It'll be flesh against flesh, but the demon that did it is already gone. You ain't fighting the demon that did it. You fighting the flesh that was used to do the deed. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So now you're talking about this group of angels. Understand, they're coming and going, especially Lucifer. He's coming and going, but now he has lost his right to come. Now he is extremely angry. Now consider that you have a angelic being whose place was in heaven. Now he has lost the right to go. Yet a fleshly group of people called Israel is represented in earth, and he's represented in heaven, and he's not. He's pissed. So while we going on about and listening to the way that the Gentiles have been teaching and all this real nice stuff, oh, plant early for good corn, and God is love, and let's just hug one another and love. The adversary of the devil is on his way to come and try to kill you. He's not particularly coming for them. I mean, he'll take all that he can get. But his particular focus is you. Brother, y'all turn that air down. It's getting cold over there. His particular focus is Israel. Because once you see this whole thing about the child, he was ready to devour the child as soon as it was born. So then you see what the focus is. Kill the seed, destroy the nation. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation, and strength, and the kingdom of our Elohim, and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night.
Day and night the adversary is making accusations against you. Everything that you do that ain't right, the adversary is standing before. Did you see what Kish did? I thought you said he was supposed to be some kind of priest or something. Yeah. I bet you ain't know about this. Right. Everything. There's an accusation made. And the more things we do, the more accusations are made. The accuser of our brethren, day and night. Yahweh don't get the rest. Go ahead.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great anger, because he knoweth that he has but a short time.
Now it's crunch time, and his anger has stepped up to a whole nother level now. With all of the stuff that we've dealt with thus far, it's nothing compared to the great anger that he has because his time is running short. Go ahead.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
That's you. The woman that he's coming to persecute is Israel. And while we're looking at everybody else, and while we're thinking about what everybody else is doing, you need to be trying to protect your own soul. Because you got an increased demonic presence on its way here. And it wants to destroy you and everybody that look like you. So understand, those that don't know the word, they prime for the picking. They'll be used. Understand something. This is why you have to get your head right. Those people are going to be used to say anything to you, to provoke you to do something, to step outside of that hedge. The hedge is here. They'll say something to you to make you get upset, and you come outside that hedge, and then Lucifer slam you dead on your head. He said, what, Yahweh? I didn't go inside the hedge was here. He walked outside himself. I didn't do that. That's why he got dirt all on his kufi. I didn't do that. I didn't come. He came out on his own. See? There go the property line right there. Lucifer, see? Yeah, you're right. Right. He go right before Yahweh. I ain't doing nothing wrong. You better tell him to stay inside that hedge. Can you come outside the hedge again? I'm going to get him. Right. So other things will be used to provoke you to step outside of the hedge that he has around you. And at that point, you fair game. Then we crying unto Yahweh. Oh, woe is me. Blah, blah, blah. Learn how to stand still. You finished that, bro?
Yes.
Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 2. Second Peter chapter 2, and let's read verses 1 through 11.
Second Peter chapter 2 and verse 1. But there was false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Adonai that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of.
Right. Say some mess, and people will follow some mess quicker than they will follow the truth. If I got up here and said, I am King David, y'all wouldn't have no place to sit in here. I start calling myself the master prophet. They'll be lying. They'll be selling tickets out the door. Look, man, we ain't got but a limited amount of seats, brother. What you want to do? People out there auctioning all seats. 35, 35, 14, what about 55? Can I get 55? What about 65, 75? People fight for foolishness. Turn around and talk about righteousness, and folk don't know whether they want to be inconvenienced. But we'll drive halfway across the creation to be a part of some mess. Many shall follow this. As many things as people say completely against the word, folks show right back up there like it ain't nothing. But when you start talking about this truth, it cramps people's style because people don't want to change. See? And sometimes we get weary and well doing because we say, well, I done changed my clothing. You got to change how you clothe your heart. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. For if Elohim spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment.
They're reserved unto judgment, and if they didn't get to do whatever they wanted to do, what makes you think you get to do whatever you want to do? They were before you. They had greater power and understanding than you. Go ahead.
And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly.
Right. There was an example given for those who should live ungodly, yet it is the law of the land here. People ain't learned from the example. Go ahead.
And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Adonai knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
The unjust is reserved to the day of judgment. That means they don't get punished at all. See, people don't see the blessing of doing something, and Yahweh chastises you immediately. Those who he have no love for, they don't get chastised. They do evil, and Yahweh like, no, go ahead. No, do some more evil. You should pick up that dirty rag. Look at that one. Look, ain't that filthy? Ain't that filthy? Get that one. Right, go and do some more dirt. So your judgment can be even worse. Go ahead. So their sins just keep piling up, and Yahweh don't do nothing to them. Because they reserved for the day of judgment. See? He don't discipline them because they not his kids. You don't just go somewhere and discipline somebody's kid. You see somebody's kid doing something crazy, you're like, man, who kid is this right here climbing all on top of the, standing on top of the microwave? Who kid that is right there? You just look at him. You know, hey, man, who kid that is? You don't just go in there and just start whooping people's kid. Them ain't your kid. No, but you discipline yours. Yours start climbing up on the counter and standing on top of the microwave. You tear their hind parts up. Because them yours. Because you want them to do better. But you can't go in there and discipline somebody else's kids. Y'all ain't same way. Them ain't my children. Them Lucifer's kids. Brother, Broham, are those your kids? No, they ain't my kids. Them baby's kids. Well, where's baby? Right. They're my kids. I'm not going to discipline them. Yahweh do the same thing. So if you keep getting away with all kind of evil doing, you might want to find out who your daddy is. We might not have the same daddy. Because my daddy discipline us when we do stuff wrong. So if you ain't getting none of that, you might have a bigger issue. Go ahead.
2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 10. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government.
Right, they don't like to follow rules. Go ahead.
Presumptuous are they, self-willed.
Self-will. They are completely open for the adversary because they're going to do what they want to do. And it's going to open up that door, and Lucifer's going to be in there every time. Every time they get angry about this, they don't like that, here come one of them demons. Go ahead.
They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities.
All they got to do is get upset. They'll say whatever they got to say. Go ahead.
Whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusations against them before the Adonai.
All right, let's go to our 1 Corinthians chapter 6. First Corinthians chapter 6, and let's read verses 1 through 3.
Verse 1. Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world?
Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? Now, how are you going to be able to judge anything and not understand the righteousness of this law? There can't be any judgment without law. So if you don't understand how things are supposed to go, how can you judge any matter? If you're going to deal with things the way you think, feel, and believe, you can't righteously judge anything. So you have to first understand how things are supposed to go before you can even deal with things in righteousness. Go ahead.
And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
Understand what your ultimate job is. If the world is going to be judged by you, are you not able to deal with these little petty things that come among us? Yet you have the ultimate job of judging the whole world. Go ahead.
Know you not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertaineth to this life?
Now, understand this. Know you not that we shall judge angels? Do you understand what kind of position then that puts the angels who know that they're going to be judged? The ones who have done right, they don't have to face judgment. So their opportunity to destroy you is destroying their judges before their court case. You see it all the time with the gangsters. If they get ready to go to court, they make hits out on lawyers, on judges, on witnesses. They do all of that. And when they do all of those things, when the trial come up, it ain't enough evidence to convict them. You the judge of the angels. And the angels is on their way here completely upset. But they have an opportunity to strike at the judge before the judge understands who he is. See, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They're spiritual weapons, and we got to learn how to use them. And all our tools and keys to learn how to use our spiritual weaponry is contained here. So we have to understand that it is going to be increasingly difficult to watch the news, especially as they enjoy showing every thing that we do. This increased demonic presence, it shall come upon us greatly, especially since the adversary wants to destroy us more than any other nation on the earth. Understand, he's used them, the other nations, to rule. He only entered into them to get them to further destroy you. Other than that, they already work for him. They're used to make your life difficult. So when these angels come and look for someone or somebody to possess, to do their evil deeds, if they just want to make us be destroyed, understand it's a lot of us that are going to be attacked in that way. So we need to understand that and guard your hearts, Israel, because the adversary of our brother is on his way. That's all that we have time for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.